Now, let's go back and look at the pathway, because I want to go through the whole psalm with you. I want you to make progress, okay? This whole psalm, and you can mark these. If Christ is our refuge and we flee to Him, how did David get out of this pit? Because when we pick up in the next psalm, he's out of the pit. And he's really doing well. What happened? Well, here's the simple pathway recorded in his confession of God's faithfulness. The first 3 verses, what David does is he remembers God's work in his life. Now, if you haven't marked the 40th Psalm, here's the first thing. Notice, and I'm going to emphasize these words. What he's looking at, David notes the 5 ways God worked in his life. Here's God's grace directed toward David. Verse 1, I waited patiently for the Lord, and what? What did God do? David remembered what God did. He inclined to me. What else did God do? The next phrase. And, implied, He, God, heard my cry. That's the second remembrance of God's work in his life. Look at verse 2. What else did He do? He also brought me up. See, what David is doing is he's remembering what God has done in his life. What's the next one? He set my feet on a rock. What else? He established my steps. What else? Verse 3. He put a new song in my mouth. Do you see that? He is remembering what God did. That's the first thing. Look at the second thing in verse 4 and 5. David reaffirmed his trust in the Lord. Verse 4, blessed is the one who makes the Lord his trust. Verse 5, many, O Lord my God, are your wonderful works which you have done. But what's amazing is this Yashareh, this blessedness, it's not a felt blessing alone. David verbally, look, this psalm you're reading are David's words that he said. So what am I making the point here? Verses 4 and 5 tells us that David reaffirmed his trust in God. David verbally said, I trust in you. Do you know what the pathway out for David was of this pit? The pit of defeat and sin and his circumstances and all that David was going through with these habits he had in his life. Do you know what the way out was? First, he remembered what God had done in his life. And then he started verbally saying to the Lord and reaffirming that he trusted in Him. Verse 4, blessed is the man who makes the Lord his trust.